Do you wake up tired even after a full night's sleep? Do you feel run down and unmotivated? It might not be anything you're doing wrong, it might be your testosterone. So what actually is testosterone? Don't worry, we won't spend long on this. It's a hormone that your body produces mainly in your sexual organs and adrenal glands, and everybody has it. Men just tend to have a lot more of it, and it affects way more than people think. Muscles, bones, energy, mood, and yes, sex drive. During puberty, it's what actually kicks off the big changes. Deeper voice, more body hair, more strength, and a whole lot more interest in other humans. But testosterone doesn't just matter when you're 15. It keeps working quietly in the background your entire adult life. And that's why when it drops too low, you don't just feel a little off. You can feel like a completely different person. But what about low testosterone? When your T drops too low, it doesn't just hit one area, it can mess with your energy, your mood, and your sex drive all at the same time. All bodies are different and they'll often develop at different stages. Levels of testosterone are so sensitive that some studies have even shown that they can be lower or higher depending on the time of the day. Some studies place peak daily testosterone at between 7 and 10 a.m. For adult men, the best estimates that are around 2.1% or 2 in every 100 suffer from testosterone deficiency. It's 1% or every 1 man in 100 for young men, and that moves up to 8% over 50. So when you hit 80, it absolutely skyrockets to around 50%. You might think low T is rare, but it is way more common than people want to admit. There isn't any such thing as a true absolute consensus on what counts for low testosterone, also known as hypogonadism, and that's because of how different people's bodies can be. But for a healthy adult male, low testosterone would be below 300 nanograms per deciliter, compared to the Goldilocks zone of between 450 and 600. The problem is low T looks a lot like a bunch of other everyday problems, so it could slip by unnoticed. Symptoms don't show up like a flashing warning light, they show up like normal life. Symptoms of testosterone can pop up as early as your childhood before puberty even hits. One of the most obvious signs is stunted growth. Your arms and your legs might keep stretching out and then suddenly you look kind of uneven. You can also expect reduced development of pubic hair as well as of the penis and testicles. Another noticeable sign is that the voice doesn't deepen as much when puberty hits. On top of that, strength and endurance can lag behind everyone else their age. Many of these symptoms will continue and increase in severity as you enter adulthood. You'll experience reduced sex drive along with erectile dysfunction, lower sperm count, and shrinkage of the testicles, which makes sexual behavior as difficult as it is undesirable. You'll also have decreased muscle mass, decreased bone density, decreased strength, and decreased endurance. What you lack in all that, you'll at least make up for in weight gain and an increase in breast tissue, offset by a lack of armpit hair and pubic hair and occasional hot flashes. But it isn't just physical effects that you're contending with here. One of the most dangerous effects is depression. You'll generally feel a lack of energy, a lack of motivation, and even a lack of purpose in life. This, coupled with struggling with concentration and memory, will make completing even simple tasks a lot more of a struggle. If you've experienced most or all of these, then we suggest you pay very close attention, and even if you haven't, you should still listen closely. You never know when this might start to affect you. And if all of that sounds bad on its own, it usually doesn't stop there. Low T doesn't just make you tired, it creates a feedback loop that slowly wrecks your momentum. It usually starts small. You'll feel more drained than usual, so you'll stop working out as much. Or you'll stop moving in general. That leads to muscle loss and weight gain. And as your body fat climbs, your hormones can shift even further into the wrong direction. Now you're heavier, you're weaker, and you're more exhausted. So you sleep worse. And when sleep gets worse, testosterone tends to drop even more. And then your mood takes a hit. You feel unmotivated, you feel foggy, you start to think, what's wrong with me? That turns into stress, and then stress adds fuel to the fire. And now, here is the worst part. Once your libido drops, your confidence often drops with it. Relationships can get strained, anxiety goes up, sleep gets worse again, your energy drops again, and then the cycle keeps on repeating. So, why do some people have lower T levels than others? Before we get into the causes, let's make this personal. Low testosterone doesn't hit everyone equally, and if you fall into one of those groups, you might want to pay extra attention. So are you in the danger zone? If you're a man entering your 30s, the odds start to creep up. Testosterone naturally declines with age, and for a lot of guys, that drop starts even earlier than they expect. If you're overweight or carrying extra belly fat, your risk jumps hard. Fat tissue can change how your hormones behave, and that can push testosterone lower over time. If you're constantly stressed, you're sleeping badly, or you feel like your brain is running on fumes 24/7, that matters too. And if you have sleep apnea, your body may literally be missing the recovery cycles that it needs to keep testosterone stable. Type 2 diabetes, pre-diabetes, or other metabolic issues mean that you're also much more likely to get dragged into testosterone problems, even if you're not old yet. So if you're thinking, wait, that's me, then keep on listening because the next part explains why this can sneak up on you so quietly. Now let's talk about what's actually causing it. Some are relatively benign, others you'll want to get checked out by a health professional as quickly as possible. We'll get a little into how your testosterone declines naturally with age later, but one reason why your T levels might be lower is that you suffer from a genetic condition called Klinefelter disorder, where men are born with an extra X chromosome. Given that your chromosomes have such an outsized impact on your hormone production, this is a relatively common one and one of the less dangerous reasons too. All hypogonadism is separated into primary and secondary, with primary being related to the testicles themselves. Secondary is related to the pituitary gland or the hypothalamus in the brain. As for primary causes, there's anorchia, the lack of testicles at birth. There's also cryptorchidism, undescended testicles, and Leydig cell hypoplasia, which causes undeveloped Leydig cells, the particular cells in the testes that produce testosterone. You can even get hypogonadism from taking damage to your testicles. Chronic kidney and liver diseases are also not an uncommon cause. So too are thyroid and gland disorders, which can send your hormones haywire. Lifestyle choices can also play a factor in low T, like excessive drinking. If you suffer from obstructive sleep apnea, the chronic disruption to your sleep schedule might also cause disruptions in your T levels. And if you are really unlucky, the cause might be suffering from HIV or AIDS, both of which can be ruinous to your T levels, though if you're in the latter stages of either, low testosterone will be the absolute least of your concerns. In a study relating to body weight, 30% of overweight men had low T compared to only 6.4% of those with a normal weight. A similar trend emerges from people suffering from diabetes. 24.5% of men with diabetes had low T compared to 12.6% of those without diabetes. If it's something you happen to suffer from, don't think any less of yourself. It's just another medical problem and not something that has any real reflection on how much of a man you are, no matter what the over-edited manfluencers tell you on TikTok. After age 30, some studies have even shown that your T levels will begin to reduce by 2% every year. Now, at this point, you might be thinking, okay, that sounds miserable, but is it actually dangerous? And the answer is, it can be. Long-term low testosterone isn't just about mood or sex drive, it changes how your body holds up over time. Testosterone helps protect your bone density, and if it stays low for long enough, bones can weaken slowly. That means injuries you would normally walk off, like a fall, a bad step, or a small accident, can turn into fractures that take forever to heal. It also impacts your muscle mass, and that's not just about looking strong. Muscle is what keeps you stable. It keeps your joints protected and your body moving like it's supposed to. Less muscle can mean a worse posture, more pain, and a body that starts to feel older than your actual age. But when low T kills your energy and motivation, you usually stop doing the exact things that keep you healthy in the first place. So no, low testosterone isn't always a life or death emergency, but ignored long enough, it can quietly turn into a slow-motion collapse in energy, health, and quality of life. So if you're worried that you're suffering from a bona fide case of hypogonadism, the best thing you can do is to book an appointment with your doctor and ask for a test. First, expect a physical exam of all the areas where low T is likely to affect you. Body hair distribution, testicular size, physical build, breast size, and whether or not you have a history of bone fractures caused by weakened bones. Expect a whole lot of questions about your past, because the doctor is trying to confirm whether you've actually got low T, and if you do, what is causing it. And then they'll draw blood, or maybe take a semen sample too, for testing. And if you happen to be both financially well off and extremely concerned about your T levels, you can fork out for a gas or liquid chromatography and mass spectrometry test. But more likely you'll instead have a total testosterone test measuring the levels of testosterone present in your blood and proteins. Other rarer tests include the luteinizing hormone test, the blood prolactin level or blood hemoglobin test or HGB test, and on the more extreme end you might even get an MRI to study your pituitary gland, a bone density test or a karyotype test to study your chromosomes. If it turns out your low T is being caused by one of the more serious health issues we mentioned earlier, the doctor is going to focus on that first, before treating the testosterone symptoms themselves. But if your tests reveal you have low T and it's not from anything life-threatening, the doctor might prescribe testosterone replacement therapy, or TRT, and that can take a whole variety of forms in practice. These include testosterone injections, mostly injected into your butt cheeks, a patch like the ones that people are trying to quit smoking wear, a topical gel that can be applied to your skin or inside of your nostrils, or even pellets placed under your skin that'll release the hormone, not unlike an IUD. All of these methods are also employed by transgender people having masculinizing hormone replacement therapy. But here's the thing, when it comes to testosterone, not everything is as it seems. We've discussed a lot of the benefits of testosterone and the risks of hypogonadism. This surely means that the more testosterone you have, the better, right? This has even led to a trend among online communities of younger men called T-maxing. A lot of this seems to come from male body image issues caused by advertising. According to one study of 75 different areas, exposure to a testosterone advertisement consistently increased the rates of men signing up for testosterone level tests. And that is why some of those same people later turn to supplements or even testosterone replacement therapy. But that will cause changes to your body. Engaging in testosterone replacement therapy, if you don't clinically suffer from low T, can suppress your body's ability to produce testosterone naturally. This not only runs the risk of causing every health problem we've already discussed, it can also slow down your sperm production too. For some, the ability to produce T at normal levels over time will slowly return. But if you've been on TRT for an extended period, there's a good chance you might not ever be able to be all natural ever again. The risks of testosterone therapy might also cause serious knocks to your confidence. This includes developing acne or other skin conditions and going prematurely bald, not to mention a higher red blood cell count, which can lead to complications later on. If a reputable doctor hasn't diagnosed you with hypogonadism, and not guys like Joe Rogan and Andrew Tate, then your best options are the boring ones that actually work. Good diet, enough sleep, and staying active, not sketchy social media health hacks. And one more thing that's important to remember is that at a point, testosterone loss as you get older is a completely natural thing. Given by middle age you'll have settled into yourself, you don't need to fast-track your development quite as much. The FDA has been very explicit in warning people against testosterone replacement therapy for low T caused by natural aging. That's because for some men, the older they get, the higher risk of that testosterone infusion could put them on track for a stroke or even a heart attack. Nobody cares how manly you are when you're 6 feet under, so maybe just appreciate the good things you've got right now instead. Now go check out Weirdest Facts About the Male Body, or watch this instead.